All my life, I've been what you could call not a fan of school. Whether I was learning stuff I genuinely found interesting in computer science, or doing the worst subject in all of education, regular science, school is not for me. Despite that fact, I recently completed my first year of college. And I still hate school. But I've been thinking about my past education experiences. And whenever I think about this, my brain immediately goes to one person. My mortal enemy. My grade 12 social studies teacher. Let's call him Mr. Carr. When talking about Mr. Carr, and all teachers really, you need to divide them into three parts. Them as a person outside of school, which obviously I can't really speak on. Them as an educator, which is also really hard to do because everybody learns differently. I personally learn best from actually doing stuff, which you can't really do in social studies. But to be fair, my friends and sisters said he wasn't a half bad teacher. And them as a person in school. And oh boy, I've got some stories about that. Two, to be exact. The first story takes place in November. By this point, there had already been about 2 months of me just barely scraping by, and I was leaving for a vacation. To hell! Also known as California. And as someone who is still pretending to be a good student, I emailed all my teachers, informing them when I was going to be gone and asking if there was anything I could do while I was away to try and keep up. They all responded. All except one. And do you want to take a wild guess who didn't? That's right, Mr. Carr. And a couple days before we left, my sister went and talked to Mr. Carr before class. While they were talking, I overheard Mr. Carr mention he saw my email. Hearing this, I assumed it meant that he saw it and that there wasn't anything I needed to do while away. So I went on my trip. And if you look to your left, you'll see Disneyland, home of the mouse. Wow. While there, my twin sister had her social studies book. And, well, how do I put this? She's a giant nerd! So I assumed she was just studying, something I've done probably twice in my whole life. Somehow, we survived California, and on the first period back, Mr. Carr informs me that I have an exam, that very class. I was a little confused, but I went to go do it, assuming it was on whatever we were doing before I left. I was wrong. It was on Vietnam. I was a little bit upset when I returned to his class. You know, having an exam sprung upon me without any warning like that. So I let Mr. Carr know. I don't remember what I said, or what he said, truth be told, but at some point he said, "Yeah, I saw your email, and I gave your sister handouts to work on." My sister did not give me any handouts nor tell me about them, but I wasn't mad at her. I'm still not mad at her looking back, because A, that's not her job. He's the teacher and he was fully aware of what was happening. B, he said he saw my email. He just never responded. I've been trying to remain neutral in my retelling, but what a move. This next story takes place right at the end of my first semester in grade 12, 3 months before the big funny of 2020. In Canada, your grade 12 final exam for each of your 4 core classes is called your diploma exam. My school offered an optional diploma prep class, which you didn't have to pay for, but you did have to put down a $20 deposit. So the lady comes into our class and tells us about it. And when she's done talking, I raised my hand and asked, "Can I sign up for other classes diploma prep, or do I need to wait for you to come and speak to us in that class?" I emphasized the fact that I raised my hand to show that Mr. Carr definitely heard me ask. I didn't need to wait, so when she came over to me, I signed up for the math diploma prep class. The social one was on a Saturday. At the end of social, on the Friday prior, Mr. Carr said to me, "Don't forget, diploma prep tomorrow." Which I replied by informing him that I did not sign up, assuming it was a simple mistake. That Saturday, I'm woken up at 9 a.m., roughly 3 hours after I went to bed, from a phone call from my mother. Now, before I progress, I need to clarify something. My mother is a very nice and generous person. The one thing she isn't is patient. So when she got a phone call at 9 a.m. on a Saturday from my teacher, she was less than pleased. I wasn't there, but from what I was told, the conversation went a little like this. "Your son didn't show up to diploma prep." "My son didn't sign up for diploma prep." "Yes, he did." "Are you calling me a liar?" Well, then my mother was less than pleasant. Now, do I agree with what she did? Absolutely no, I don't. That's unnecessary, and I definitely wasn't extremely happy when I heard that she did that. Though, if hypothetically I was, it would be because this wasn't a mistake. This was deliberate. I'll explain how I know in a second, but my name was on no list for social diploma prep, and there was no reason for him to think I should have been there. But anyways, on Monday, I went to get my $20, but the principal wasn't there, so I couldn't. Oh well, I go to Mr. Carr's class, and he starts giving me this spiel about skipping diploma prep, which doesn't even make sense, because if I signed up, I would have paid $20 for it, so why on earth would I skip it? But he made it expressly clear I would not get my $20 back. And so the very first thing I did the next morning was pay my principal a visit, and wouldn't you know it, I got my $20 back. No argument. I walked in, she asked me my name, and in less than 2 minutes, I walked out with my moolah. Which is how I know he was just being a prick. If there was a mistake and the school thought I signed up, I would have had to argue at least a little bit. But no, and the single worst part about this story, I went to his class that day fully intending to rub it into Mr. Carr's face. We had a substitute. I was robbed of my I told you so moment. Hello, thank you very much for watching. If you made it this far, you must have found this video at least a little entertaining, or you hated it so much that you want to see it through, which fair enough. If you're in the first camp though, here's 2 more videos you might be interested in. On the left is another school video I made a while ago. It's a little old, just as a warning. And on the right is a video that YouTube picked that it thinks you'll like. And that's kind of it. Have a nice day.